I don't want to do the Sarah Palin stories because she's just the governor of Alaska, but she keeps pulling me back in because she goes out there and does these interviews with Sean Hannity. She goes to these events, the fundraiser she went to last night for the GOP, and she's a real contender in 2012, and to the point where there's an article out in the Hill today talking about how some Senate GOP members are not happy with Sarah Palin. They were quite irritated with her because some of them are planning to run against her. And they say, who the hell is this lady? And she can't raise any money because people with money are generally educated and they don't want to give to this person who is clearly a clown. Now, those are gross generalizations, but I'm not the ones making them. They're quoted in the Hill being made by Republican senators, some from the South, and a lot who supported John McCain, by the way, as well. So, she goes on Sean Hannity's program, and Sarah Palin, as usual, is going to make a fool of herself. Now, the thing is, as you watch this first clip, what I don't want people to do, and it's meaning mainly the media, is to keep giving her a bye like they did with George Bush. As you watch the clip, it is painfully obvious that this woman is stupid. Okay, just so don't look at it like I must be seeing it wrong. Am I the one that took the crazy bill? She ran for vice president, so she must be smart. No, look at it for what it really is. Let's listen. Here we go. Clip number 1.
What do you make of look at the state of the economy now? I mean, just last week, when unemployment went from 8.9% to 9.4%, we quadrupled the deficit in a year. CBO says we're going to have literally $10 trillion in debt at the end of 10 years, where we're paying almost $1 trillion on interest on the debt. You're a governor, you have to balance budgets. What does that mean in terms of the overall economy? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, when you consider that the federal government is about $11 trillion in debt, and we're borrowing more to spend more, it defies any sensible economic policy that any of us ever learned going through college, defies economy practices and principles that tell you you got to quit digging that hole when you are in that financial hole. Yeah. America is digging a deeper hole. And how are we paying for this government largesse? We're borrowing from China. And when you consider that now we own 60% of General Motors, or the U.S. government does, but who is the U.S. government becoming more and more indebted to? It's China. So that leads you to have to ask, who really is going to own our car industry then in America? You know,
but it does harken back a little to the campaign. I mean, spread the wealth, patriotic
kind
duty.
of a we told you so?
Well, is that how you feel?
That's how I feel.
We told you so? Please, who got us into this economic mess in the first place? Who got us that $10 trillion debt in the first place? What, Obama did it in 2 months? How many months has he been on it? 3, 4 months? It wasn't your George W. Bush and your Republicans for the last 8 years that got us that $10 trillion deficit. They make it appear as if Obama's like, oh, look, can I just borrow $10 trillion? Oh, boom, I already spent it in 4 months. Come on, man. 5 months, whatever it's been that he's been in office. Okay, and look, the bottom line here is, as you hear, you didn't take the crazy pill. She struggles with words. She wrestles them. She's like, and then our country being what it is, the economy, practices, and principles, economic practices and principles. Every word is a struggle. She wrestles with it before she spits it out. You know why? She's not that bright. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So she has to think, am I saying something stupid? Am I saying something stupid? Okay, I'm going to say it anyway. Oh my God, here we go. Economy, practices, and principles. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Man, if you're a Republican, how are you not embarrassed? How are you embarrassed? This was your vice presidential candidate. All right, let's go to clip number 2. Sean Hannity still talking to Sarah Palin. Clip number 5, yes.
Is this even more than you thought it was going to be in terms of where the president would take the economy?
What's more than I thought would be is we're hearing a lot of good rhetoric. A lot of this is wrapped in good rhetoric, but we're not seeing those actions. And this many months into the new administration, quite disappointed, quite frustrated with not seeing those actions to rein in spending, slow down the growth of government. Instead, Sean, it's the complete opposite. It's expanding at such a large degree that if Americans aren't paying attention, unfortunately, our country could evolve into something that we do not even recognize. Certainly that is so far from what the founders of our country had in mind for us. Well, that is where we are headed. That is, and we have to be blunt enough and candid and honest enough with Americans to let them know that if we keep going down these roads, nationalizing many of our services, our projects, our businesses, yes, that is where we would head.
Oh, please. Look, just please make her go away. Every word's a struggle. She doesn't know what she's talking. She goes to the talking points. All right, so now Obama's responsible for all the spending, as I explained in the last segment. The funny thing is, as they're doing this dumbass interview, Obama then unveils a plan called Pay As You Go, which is actually what got us surpluses, not deficits, in the 1990s when a Democratic president was in charge. Pay As You Go is, hey, look, if you're going to institute a new program, you have to pay for it, either through higher taxes or less spending. It is, I'm fiscally conservative, and I love it. And this is something that the Blue Dog Democrats push for. Sometimes the Blue Dog Democrats are just people who are sticking up for the corporations and getting paid by the lobbyists, etc. But the one thing that they fight for is conservative fiscal policy, and I'm with them on that. So I love that Obama's done that, but he's saying, look, here's what we got to do. We're in a massive recession here that fell in our laps. Because of who? The last 8 years, right? So what we have to do is we have to spend some money. It's called stimulus. But after we spend that money, we have to make sure right away that we have fiscal discipline. Otherwise, this deficit's going to get out of control, and it's already out of control. That's how you do it. It depends on the situation. If you elected Sarah Palin and John McCain, these idiots would have been like, oh, we've got a massive recession. Let's make sure we cut back on spending. Almost every economist in the country and in the world will tell you that's going to lead you into a worse recession, maybe in a depression. Look, I don't want to do more spending, but there are bounds of reason as to when you have to act with discipline and fiscal responsibility and when you have to do a stimulus, an investment in the economy. And I think Obama's got the exact right tack right now, and if we elected these clowns, God help us. Who knows what would have happened.